Welcome to DWBI Adda channel. Please subscribe for latest training videos.
Hello everyone and welcome back to another video in the series of machine learning with scikit-learn. And today's video will be talking about a very important implementation of machine learning, that is natural language processing. Now, natural language processing is one of the most practical and famous implementation of machine learning, as the natural language processing is an implementation field rather than a domain of machine learning. For example, we have computer vision, finance. Similarly, we have natural language processing, text analytics, sentiment analysis as being part of natural language processing. So in this video, we'll be looking much more deep down about NLP. We'll be looking at the parts of NLP, some of the applications that we have in NLP, and some of the features that is used to implement the same. Followed by that, we'll be looking at one of the text classifier, and let's get started. So the notebook is ready, and natural language processing is a subfield of computer science, information engineering, and artificial intelligence. Now, natural language processing simply means, when the word comes natural language, it refers to the human conversation. As the computer, we are trying to make it understand the normal conversation that happens between a human, and the computer should be able to make sense out of it. Now, applications of natural language processing can be very much different and are used in a very determined fields. For example, natural language processing can be used as text analytics or summarization, or natural language processing is having a very huge scope in the chatbots which are being developed nowadays. As the chatbots are increasing, it gives us the computer much ability to understand the natural language and take the commands through the text input or the voiceover commands. Similarly, another implementation of natural language processing is the sentiment analysis, in which the computer is trying to understand the human emotions and is used as a practical implementation for various purposes. Now, natural language processing mainly consists of 5 major steps. Now, the first one is the lexical analysis. Now, in lexical analysis is the first term in which the computer tries to understand the complete overview of the given text and tries to break it down into paragraphs, sentences, and words. So this is the first approach. As we can see, by the time we look at a piece of paper, that's what we see. So we see paragraphs, we see sentences, and then we see the words. That is the first step which happens in lexical analysis. Now, the second analysis is known as the syntax analysis or the parsing, which simply means that once the sentence is given, the computer now tries to take the grammar check-in for that and make sure that the word which is, or the sentence which is given to it, is grammatically and syntactically correct, which includes some of the basic principles of finite automata. And when we move on, we have the third step is known as the semantic analysis of the word. Now, what happens is, when the two processes been done, when the computer verifies that the sentence is distributed and the sentence is grammatically correct, the grammatically correct means here is according to the language in which it is defined. Now, once that takes place, we move on to semantic analysis, in which the computer takes a specific word and look exactly what is the meaning of it provided. Once that is done, now as you can see by each incrementation of the step and the implementation of it, we are able to make much more sense how we understand the text. Now coming to the fourth topic now is the disclosure integration. Now disclosure integration takes as the primary step of understanding. What happens is sometimes the piece of word or the text which is given to you depends on the word which was present before it. Now bad is a negative term, not bad is a positive term, or not bad is not a negative term actually. So the complete sentence depended on bad depended on the not word. That happens in disclosure integration, in which the computer tries to analyze the information out of a text and considering the meaning of the sentence based on the previous and the after text given to it. And once that is done, we move on to the fifth topic of the step of the natural language processing, that is the pragmatic analysis. Now, pragmatic analysis completely reviews the complete domain and tries to understand what was the real meaning out of the sentence provided to us. What we mean by that is to completely analyze the complete distribution of system and the text which has been provided, then taking out insight from the same and trying to understand whether the information was as direct as provided, or does it conclude to something else, which can include some of the major practical implementations such as even sarcasm. Now, that being told about natural language processing, there are some of the applications that we have in natural language processing, which is quite famous. So for one of the implementation, we have something known as IBM Watson Natural Language Understanding, which provides us a very base API for the classification of natural language processing, as it extracts the entities and the relationships and tries to convey as much as more information out of the text provided. Similarly, we have something known as Dialogflow as a part of Google Chatbot, which allows the user to make chatbots out of the same. Now, Dialogflow completely is based on natural language processing and instance-based processing, in which it depends on the first sentence which has been provided, making the sense out of it and then replying to the same. Now, those are some of the few APIs which is being provided for natural language processing. Now, let's move on to one of the ways how we can implement the natural language processing example by ourselves. So we have started to import basic libraries, followed by we are taking a review from our restaurant reviews determined as positive or negative for the same, and this one is a TSV file, which means the spacing is given, or the different values is being separated with a tabular space. So once we read the data, we print out the data. Now here's an example of the sentiment provided with the natural language given to it. In this one, the review is been provided followed by the sentiment of the word. Now for example, a great touch simply means it was positive sentence. If we see would not go back simply means it's a negative term and it's been represented with 0. So that is the data we have, and we have 1,000 rows into columns. That is the shape. Now along with scikit-learn, we'll be using one of the major libraries in this video, that is the regular expressions and the NLTK library. So we'll be looking at the implementation in the coming second part of this video. Thank you.